The Foreign Minister of Latvia, Baiba Braže, joins me now. Thanks so much for joining.
Hello there.
So first, I wonder what the reaction to the U.S. strikes on Iran has been at the NATO summit there. And is it possible to some degree that those strikes give NATO allies some comfort that this president will take military action when he deems it necessary?
I think you hit the nail on the head. That's one aspect of it all. Second was the sheer power projection and the force of it, which was also very important as a demonstration of strength and demonstration of the willingness to engage. But also, we all know that all the theaters today are actually interconnected. It's the Euro-Atlantic, but it's also the Middle East, it's also Indo-Pacific or Africa. There are aspects and interests everywhere. The fact is, U.S. closest allies and friends are in Europe. And that is, I think, what President Trump will hear today, what he heard today already at the dinner, and also tomorrow at the summit itself. And the basically decisions that has been made, formally it will be confirmed tomorrow, that allies agree to spend 5% on defense and security is the doing of Mr. Trump. And I think that is so important, that allies actually commit to that, because the threats are real. The threats are real both from Russia, but also others. The challenges from China, the terrorists, and so on and so forth. So we have to be serious about security and defense to have prosperity and also the perspective of stability.
As you know, some leaders of NATO allies, the German Chancellor Merz among them, have been quite public in saying that Europe cannot rely on U.S. leadership for its own defense anymore, and to some degree has to rely on itself, go it alone. And I wonder if you share that concern.
Listen, I think we have to do several things at the same time. We have to be serious about defense spending and our own defense. In Europe, as you said, the Baltic states, Poland, a number of others, including our generous hosts, the Netherlands, have made those decisions to clearly advance on defense spending. And there are others who have done that. So tomorrow will be 32 of us. And that will lead us to having European and Canadian allies at 80% of NATO's defense spending. That is a number we haven't had for a very long time, actually, most likely since Dwight Eisenhower's time. So that is something that is historical, that is significant. And again, that's because we have real threats. We have real threats, whether it's in America, whether it's in Europe, in the Middle East, or in Indo-Pacific. And we don't know where exactly what will arise. So that ability to have the forces, the capabilities that we need, but also the culture of readiness, so that we exercise together, that we are able to project power and respond very quickly. And you rightly said, about the particular angle that the Baltic states have. We have that experience with Russia that we never wanted, or with Soviet Union at the time. But we also know that there were people who never believed that we will regain the independence. But we made it possible because we believed in ourselves. And that is something also that we have to remember. The trust in NATO, belief in our own strength, and that is why we need to invest. And that's what we are doing.
How about Ukraine? Because it's been notable that while the world's attention has been focused on Iran, it seems that Russia has deliberately escalated its already devastating strikes on Ukraine. Will there be unity at this summit among NATO allies on supporting Ukraine, or will that also become more of a European rather than a U.S. European priority?
Again, you are totally right, Jim. Ukraine is at the summit, both President Zelensky and the foreign defense ministers. We had dinner tonight with the foreign minister in NATO Ukraine Council format, which is where Ukraine sits at the table as among the allies. And the point was very clear that actually Ukraine currently is providing both the defense and deterrence for Russian forces. Russia has lost 1 million soldiers in that senseless war, both killed and heavily injured. And in the same time, it has not achieved its aims. Russia is not winning the war. It's Putin who believes that he can win, but actually they are not winning. So in the same time, of course, Ukraine is also suffering, as you rightly point out. Russians have increased the bombings. They are aiming civilians. They are aiming at hospitals, at infrastructure. So we have to be very clear that there are three lines of efforts that we have to do. Making ourselves strong, weakening Russia, which is the cheapest of all the work that we have to do, and in the same time making sure that Ukraine endures as democratic sovereign state. It's a living democracy despite the fact there is war on its territory. It still has a parliament that is working, there is a freedom of speech, they are debating, there are online chats, and then there's criticism, there's opposition. So all these three parts of getting us to peace are equally important. And indeed, President Trump got ceasefire in the Middle East, and we fully support his effort to get peace in Ukraine, and that requires pushing Russia very strongly.
But he hasn't done that, right? I mean, he's been demanding that ceasefire for months now, and while he very quickly penalized Ukraine when he perceived it was not signing on to a ceasefire quickly enough by withholding U.S. intelligence support, he's been threatening new sanctions on Russia for months, and they just haven't come. Is now the time for new, not just U.S. sanctions, but European sanctions on Russia?
Yes, European sanctions, the next 18th sanctions package will be adopted in the days to come. That is prepared, that is there, ready, so it will go ahead. We do believe that absolutely the big and beautiful sanctions package that is ready in the Congress should advance. Again, the timing, it depends on the U.S. It's not for me to say when is the right timing in the U.S. assessment. We think that it would be right to do it quite soon because Russia gains its money to finance war in the budget from its exports of oil, gas, and other resources. So limiting that capability to fight the war is advancing peace.
Foreign Minister Braže, we do appreciate you taking the time and wish you the best of luck as the summit continues there.
Thank you so much.